We are in a spiritual war. And the only way for you to be on the winning side of that is to be on the side of God. You have to submit to the will of God, let the light of God flow through you and guide you, and it will protect you. But it will also make you a target for the enemy. So know that. If you are not a threat to the enemy does not waste his time on you. That means the enemy already has hold of you. Right? So don't compare yourself to people who seem to have the perfect life, an easy life. Everything goes well for them all the time. I'm not saying they're on the bad side, the wrong side, the dark side. But I'm saying if you are being attacked, it's probably a sign that you're a threat to the enemy. Right? So, and when I talk like this, I'm not trying to be divisive. I'm not trying to foment fear or stir up hate or make people paranoid. This is just the reality, and we have to be aware of that. We can't stick our heads in the sand. We shouldn't be fearful. When you are submitted to God and surrendered to God, you don't have to be fearful, and you won't be fearful. Fear will be removed because you will be walking in faith and light and love. Right? But let me give you an example, okay, of my own life. The first thing that came at me as far as an attack, after I laid my life down, I came out of the woods and I had decided that I was going to live a life of celibacy. At least for now, in this moment. Am I saying I'm always going to be celibate? No, I'm not making that claim because I don't know what God has in store for me. But I'm not searching for a partner. What I'm looking to do is put my attention on God and doing what God wants me to do. And right now, that's not looking for a partner. So this is what I decided. Okay? I'm back in town for a week. Okay? A week. I go to a party. I've been sent there by God to hand out messages. I'm handing out Easter eggs. I'm dressed as a holy fool, doing performance art, acting as a sort of oracle for God. Right? I don't give a message to anyone who doesn't approach me, who doesn't make eye contact with me. I don't chase anyone down. I'm sitting on a swing that looks like something out of Midsummer Nights, like something out of Shakespeare. Like I'm in a fairy tale, okay? And there's ivy growing on the swing. I'm dressed in all white. I have my face painted like a holy fool, like a clown. I see a woman across the room. Now, this is a costume party. So, this is why I'm dressed up the way that I am. But I'm also a holy fool. So I wore, I played the role. And I see a woman across the room. She catches my eye. We're looking at each other. She's dressed as Little Red Riding Hood. She is so beautiful. Seductively beautiful. And she has a seductive stare. She's clearly trying to draw me in, right? And without breaking eye contact, she makes her way across the room over to me and sits next to me. She sits with me in the swing. Very playfully, very flirty, very childlike and curious. And she tells me she's drawn to me. And I give her one of the eggs. I called them cosmic eggs, okay? So I don't remember what her message was, but she was very moved by it. And she asked if she could contact me because she said that she didn't often feel connections to other people and she was a bit of a loner and she would like to hang out with me if I was open to that. And so she contacted me and we made plans and we met up. And she told me how she was so flattered that I would want to spend time with her because she thought I was a very special person. And once again, very seductive and flirty in her mannerisms and the way she interacted with me. And she's a married woman. Now, I don't know if you've listened to my other videos, but part of what I went through, there's a dog coming over here. Part of what I went through before I went through my spiritual awakening, part of the catalyst of all that was I was in a relationship with a married woman. Not a good idea. Okay, it was against my values, against my ethics, and I lied to myself, and I fell out of integrity. It was all part of it. So the first thing the enemy sends me after I've decided I've given my life to God, I'm going to be celibate, is a married woman who's incredibly beautiful, incredibly seductive, and she's interested in me. And we spend the evening together, talking, hanging out near the beach, getting to know one another. I'm sharing my story about giving my life to God and how I work in the healing arts and how I want to help heal the earth and the people by bringing the earth and the people back together, and how I consider myself a holy fool, and that's why I was dressed the way I was that night, and that's why I was giving out those messages. And she said, oh, I have a very similar vision for my life. My husband and I we're in a theater, and we are going to be buying property and creating a Dionysian temple for theater. Dionysius is a god of theater. I think he was a Greek god. So, it turns out this woman is into witchcraft, and she tells me this, and she tells me a story about how people she had dated in the past before she was married, and how she went on a vacation with a man that she was sexually interested in, but she wasn't interested in him in any way further beyond that. Okay, it was physical for her, and she ended up being impregnated by this man. And the way she spoke of it was as if this man had put a parasite inside of her. And so what she did, and she was telling me all of this very, very matter-of-factly, she's telling me that she went on her own to the sea. She went into the woods after being impregnated. And she took a dagger and a chalice, and she gave herself an abortion. And the aborted fetus went into the chalice, and she did a ceremony at the sea, and she wed herself to some goddess of the sea. Is it Aphrodite? I don't know, but my point is that how dark, how twisted is this? This is the enemy tempting me with this beautiful seductress who's into theater. She thinks that I'm attractive. She's flattering me. She's telling me we have similar interests. She's also talking about murdering a child inside of her and sacrificing it to a goddess. Okay? She wanted to continue hanging out with me. Now, I was repelled. I was repulsed in many ways, but of course, but I'm not going to lie, there was some part of me, my animal instincts, my physicality was very attracted to her. Not so much that I didn't slip up, I didn't even entertain it, I handled it well, but I very much recognized that was the enemy trying to get at me through my sexuality, through my mother wound, through wanting to be connected to a feminine energy. This woman was appeared so feminine and beautiful and soft. And she actually is like an influencer on Instagram. And all of her posts are just very religious type imagery in nature. She's often depicts herself as a sort of goddess, or even she'll use Christian imagery you know, make herself look like the Madonna, but it also looks very sexual. And she's made herself into a seductress with a spiritual bent. Very sinister, very Jezebel. Now, it's so obvious to me what was going on. Like the very thing that I knew was an issue for me that I needed to cut off, that I needed to not put my attention, I needed to put my attention on God, not on chasing after a woman or a sexual relationship or a partner. And God brought me, or not God, but the devil, the enemy, brought me the most tempting version of that possible to try to sway me, to pull me back away from God. Now, that's just one story. It's very real. So, stay alert, stay vigilant, stay in the Word. Take time every day to pray, to set intentions, and ask to be guided.